City of Oconomowoc Common Council meeting for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
It has, Your Honor.
With the gentleman in the red badger hat, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir? I like your hat. Thank you. Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Here.
Alderman Spiegelberg. Here. Alderman Mulder. Here. Alderman Shellpepper.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Alderman Douglas.
Here.
Alderman Rosick.
Here.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Here.
Great, thank you. We're gonna, if you'd like to make a comment in the upcoming public hearing, there are blue cards in the back. Chief Pfister, one of our staff, will bring those up towards me if you'd like to make a comment. We have actually two public hearings today, and I'm gonna have our attorney Riffle explain that these two public hearings, while they're related to each other, they're different, and we're gonna do one public hearing and then the next, but we'll have Jason Gallo do a presentation to help you better understand them. Attorney Riffle.
Well, these are not the same. They have absolutely nothing to do with one another. The first is a text amendment to the code of the City of Oconomowoc in their zoning ordinance that allows for certain properties that have been historically been utilized for legal nonconforming use to be able to be converted under the code to continue that use by conditional use, and it would enable that to be expanded. Now, it may seem like that is exactly what we're talking about in the second public hearing, which it is, but the second public hearing deals with a conditional use, which I don't want to get into the, vagaries of it, but it is only pertaining to the Monbijou application for conditional use. And actually, if the text amendment doesn't occur, then we're not going to have a second public hearing. So, because you can't have a conditional use that doesn't exist in your code. Nobody should really talk about Monbijou with regard to the first public hearing because it's only a text amendment. If you do, you're going to screw up the actual condition use hearing because that is a quasi-judicial hearing, which everybody here has to hear evidence that is brought by you as to why it should or should not be granted based upon quantitative information. So if you're going to talk about the Monbijou, which I think everybody here is here to talk about, wait till the second public hearing. If you have a real problem with the technical zoning related to the change of legal nonconforming uses to be able to be getting conditional use approval, then talk about it from a esoteric standpoint, but I don't think anybody's here for that. So, I know that was really as clear as mud, but wait till the second public hearing.
Okay. I'd like to open the public hearing. The first one, public hearing, is the purpose is to hear public comment on the application by Jason Gallo, our city planner and zoning administrator for the City of Oconomowoc, to create section 17.408, legal nonconforming conditional uses. This amendment would allow any legal nonconforming lodge, like a hotel, lodge, and inn, to be granted a conditional use permit status and allowed to expand their use upon the approval using a conditional use permit. The use would need to adhere to the conditional use permit standards in 17.408 to reduce any potential adverse effects and use and that could cause to the surrounding properties. The text amendment would amend section 17.106, table of allowed uses under the use category lodging facilities to add a line item, legal non-conforming existing hotel, motel, or lodge with a C for conditional use in all residential districts. Mr. Gallo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Common Council members. This history of this is, it started a couple months ago. The Plan Commission directed staff to do a text amendment to our zoning ordinance. Our zoning ordinance is our book of rules and laws. It's chapter 17 of the municipal code, and it defines all the uses, including what is permitted by right uses and what can be allowed with a conditional use. And they said if we have a non-conforming use, meaning the use doesn't match the zoning that it currently has, and it's a hotel, motel, or inn, that we could consider that a conforming use and allow it to operate in a different zoning district. And we could even allow that then to even be expanded in some form with a conditional use permit. So it talks about legal, this is the creation of 17.408, legal non-conforming properties of a hotel, motel, or inn that offers short-term rentals may be determined as long as it can be allowed as by conditional use, as long as it's not detrimental to any of the following: adverse to the public health, safety, or welfare, in conflict with the spirit and intent of the chapter, and otherwise detrimental to the community and particularly the surrounding neighborhood. Now, the number of lodging rooms shall be limited to the number of existing and granted legal nonconforming status, and the uses may not be expanded unless approved by the City Common Council with a conditional use permit. Then it's discontinued for a period of 12 months. This is very standard with any conditional use. Then it shall be brought back to conform to the ordinance. So then the next page is just saying that the table of allowed uses would be changed to allow hotel, motel, or lodge within residential uses as a conditional use, and that's the ordinance. Plan Commission did direct staff to do this. Earlier this month, they directed this on to the Common Council with a positive recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Gallo. Do we have anyone that'd like to make a public comment on this text amendment to our city ordinance? Hearing none, seeing none, we will close this first public hearing and move on to our second public hearing. One last time, does anybody want to make a comment on this section on the text amendment? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on. Our next public hearing is now open. The purpose is to hear public comment for a conditional use permit to expand the legal non-conforming hotel or inn use for Monbijou located at 351 East Lisbon Road. Per the table of allowable uses listed in section 17.106 of the Oconomowoc zoning code, expansions to legal non-conforming lodging facilities require a conditional use permit in the residential multi-unit low zoning district. If approved, the applicant will be allowed to operate a tavern lounge which is classified as an allowed expansion of a non-conforming lodging use within the zoning ordinance upon the issuance of a conditional use permit. Mr. Gallo.
Thank you. I'll give a brief overview of this request for conditional use. The history with this is the property owners approached the city planning staff and asked to rezone this out of the residential district that it's in, make it commercial so they could put a tavern lounge inside the first ground floor of this structure. That came to the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission was not comfortable because of the potential of the surrounding neighborhood, so they directed staff to go a different direction and said that a conditional use permit would be a better option because there's There's more conditions that the operation and the use would have to follow versus just giving it a blank slate of commercial zoning. So staff went ahead and drafted a conditional use permit, and if the first item that was held the public hearing on earlier, the text amendment, is not acted on or is not acted on favorably, then we should not be acting on this, because you need that text amendment in order to grant a conditional use permit. This would be a non-conforming use, and the tavern, bar, lounge would be an expansion of that use. So let's get into it a little bit. We have the property is located where the blue highlighted area is shown. It's a condominium, Monbijou condominium, it says right there. Access to it comes in over here, and there's parking in the front, and the structure's right here. You can see the residential uses around it. A zoomed-in version of the property. This was part of their application. We always are interested in the parking stalls for their staff, guests of the inn, and as well as potential customers in the tavern lounge area. Currently they have 18 parking spaces that are designated for a vehicle. They also have other spaces where vehicles can kind of park. And there was talk about a potential of expansion of the parking if this inn is approved. They don't want people parking, on Lisbon Road or in the surrounding areas. So some of the highlights: Monbijou was formerly called the Inn at Pine Terrace. Contains currently 12 guest rooms, and that's important to understand because some of the existing rooms under the current footprint could be changed out. There's like maybe an office here or something over there, and they could make those into more rooms. So they feel they could get up to maybe 15 rooms in here, possibly. So this is a hotel. It's not a bed and breakfast. The owners don't live there, which is a requirement of a bed and breakfast. And hotel is defined as anything with 9 or more rooms, so it's definitely has that going for it. The structure itself is 145 years old. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, meaning it can't get torn down very easily. They would have to go through a lot of hoops in order for that to happen. And I don't think anyone has ever considered tearing this down. It has been an inn or a hotel by zoning definition for over 100 years. We have documentation on that, and I think some of that was shared with you. This is now to convert this into a public cocktail lounge. As I mentioned a little bit below, they currently have a full liquor license, but they can only serve the guests inside the guests inside. The occupancy was determined that the lounge in the first floor would not to exceed 49 people. They're saying the public would not be allowed on the second and the third floor of the inn. They would be putting little velvet ropes up by the stairway so the general public, is not wandering upstairs. And then they've offered, the owners offered to limit the hours of operation, and each by your stations there, I included what the Plan Commission did make a recommendation. It's highlighted. We've changed and we included hours of operation to be limited. So I want to just kind of show you what they submitted, and for the public to understand, this is the first floor. This is where the activities for this lounge would be taking place. There's the main lobby, there's a guest suite, an office where the people would not be going in over here. There's a sunroom, but this is really the primary area here. There's the lounge with the bar currently shown with 4 seats and a sitting area. So that's really the concentration on where this use would take place. It says right here, though, occupancy limit is 49 people. This is what we're looking at inside. This is the sitting area and the couch there. This is the lounge area. This is the sitting area. as well. That's shown on the opposite side in that floor plan. So this is what they're asking for, this to convert into a place where the public can go in and have a drink. So I want to talk about the site itself a little bit more in depth. You can see the density around it. There's residential uses, and then we have Lisbon Road. They have an existing sign out by Lisbon Road. They would probably like to just hang something, a non-illuminated sign off the bottom of that that calls out that there is a lounge open to the public on the sign. I took this photo when I was out doing my site visit, and I wanted to stress that this is the backside kind of facing the condominium units. There's a mature evergreen here, there's evergreens behind this concrete outdoor, I don't even know if that's a fire pit, fireplace. And then there's evergreens, arborvitaes here, and then some vegetation and somewhat of a steep slope here going here. So I don't think people this is the back side of the structure. If you are out there to be wandering around into the surrounding area. So this is that slope that you see, and then I stood there and I took a picture. These are the proximity of the residents. This is what their yards look like in their garage doors. This is the closest unit. You can see the garage is right there. So there's really no parking allowed on this street. It's a pretty tight street, 2 lanes. But the inn is right here. I don't think people from the inn are gonna trespass, but I don't know. So regarding the parking on site, these are those part of those 9 stalls that you show. Here's my vehicle there. So, you know, you can see there's enough for 9 there. And then this is the other side. There's 9 that wrap around here, and they could put additional parking in if needed. So I included the conditions of the draft permit that you have in front of you. We have the plan of operations submitted is hereby approved. What their plans include, an application, a project narrative, a site development plan, and those floor plans. Anything that they submit must be accurate. Initially approved activities would be the first floor as a public tavern and lounge, not to exceed 49 people. Parking, I said that there's 18 on-site stalls for staff, guests, and guests staying at the inn, as well as the area devoted to the lounge. And then I have a thing about our lighting, that it can't cause any, it can't be directed towards any neighboring properties. Lighting fixtures shall be tilted downward. Signage, we talked about that picture of that sign I showed you. There'd be allowed 1 externally illuminated, so it's not internally illuminated, identification sign along the Lisbon Road. No outdoor storage, possibly maybe for trash, must be screened. Knox box is required by the fire department, must be lawful, meet all federal, state, and local regulations pertaining to the liquor sales, must pay their fees. The permit is transferable if it would transfer to, like, let's say, their children. It could be transferred. Change in business name or ownership shall not be considered any change and shall not require plan commission approval. Plans and amendments, they must keep those all. Well, this is an important one. Cannot change anything that's considered a major change. They cannot add on to the building. They can't do a lot of things. Any major amendment or change in operation will require review by the Plan Commission and then come to the Common Council for final approval with a public hearing. If the amendment is determined minor, like, oh, we want to add a parking stall or something, that I can change, I can approve that myself without Plan Commission or Common Council review. 17 is important. It's the review. If the Plan Commission gets notice that there's issues going on there that are not consistent with these conditions, we can have the applicants come in at any time and review the operations, and we can amend their conditional use permit if we've missed something. And then revocation, this comes right out of the zoning ordinance. We can revoke a conditional use permit. There's a process that has to happen, but we can do that. There'd be if the facts presented at a public hearing or by investigation that is detrimental to the public health, safety, and constitutes a nuisance, we can go through that process and begin the revocation process. And then the applicant would have to accept the permit. So we went through and at a prior meeting, at the Plan Commission meeting, the property owner added hours of operation to it. So I made it number 4 up near the top, and I bumped everything else down. It's important to understand the hours of this, because typically a tavern bar would be restricted by state statutes, but in this case, the owner offered, he's got guests in the building, they want to sleep, so the hotel doors would be locked at 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and locked 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturdays. The guests can still get in. They'll have a code with a lock to get in, but the typical public will not be able to get in. On recognized legal holidays, let's say the 4th of July lands on a Tuesday night, they could remain open until 11 p.m. The bar is to close all days at 11. So once you're in, the bar will actually shut down at 12 a.m. And then any outside bar service, special events in the summer, those are to end outside at 11 p.m. So that was a recommendation that came from the Plan Commission. So the Plan Commission made a recommendation to approve this to you for the conditional use permit for Mont Bijou Inn for the Joe and Catherine Brisk.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead, folks, and start the public hearing. I mean, it's already started. I have a lot of blue cards, so what we respectfully request is that when you come up to the podium, I'm going to call your name. Please state your name, where you live, your street address, and also, are you in the city? Are you in the town? Do you live in Milwaukee? I mean, we want to know where you're from. And then try to keep your comments as concise as possible. A lot of duplication doesn't always help, but it's your choice as to what you want to do. I've gone through some of them. I can't always read your last name. The first one I can't read, and so please don't take offense. But when you come up, you can see the podium. Please adjust the microphone, because this is all taped. It's also videotaped, so that we get everything on the permanent record. So we're going to start off with Amy Klobhart. I'm not sure, you're at 247 Woodland Lane. I can't read it, and neither our attorney couldn't read it either, so I apologize.
Okay, Amy Colhart.
Colhart?
Yes, and I
Great,
live
thank you.
in Merchants Platte on Woodland Lane,
Okay.
and I am in favor of the Mont Bijou Cocktail Lounge. I think it's an extraordinary building. I love the history of it. I was able to go in during an open house that they had. It's been remodeled beautifully. I would love to be able to go and experience there, have a drink, have a cocktail, with my husband on an anniversary or something. I know that the Brisks are very into history. I can tell by their home, which has become a beautiful gem of the community, that they care, they keep things up, and so I am in favor.
Great. Thank you.
Yes.
Next up is Virginia Fulks. If you'd please state your address, that would be great. Thank you.
I was hoping not to be the first.
Or you're second.
Virginia Folks, and I'm in 601. So I've had a lot of experience with what goes on. We're right.
Could you
On the
speak a little bit more into the microphone? Just bend it. There you
how's
go.
that?
Thank you.
So from that picture, we're on the right on that road. So we got everything. So I'm concerned about property value going down because most of the people that find this attractive is the peacefulness, the quiet, the just enjoyment. So that's a difficulty for me. At some point, the last owners had trucks coming in all hours of the day and night that would sit there with their motors running, banging things. It was very disruptive.
Did you comment to that previous owner, and did they?
I think-
Did they address it?
Well, not officially, but
Okay.
I don't know what happened. It stopped.
Okay. Good.
But, so I'm concerned about that kind of thing. And a tavern, does it serve food or is it only alcohol? And the former owners had groups outside. Well, for people that live down by Fowler Lake, they may not hear it, but those of us that live right there, it's pretty disruptive. And the hours, I'm not quite sure. There were, about the hours, I thought they were going to be closed at 10, but then there was a mention of 12?
12 in the morning where they're serving alcohol,
Yeah,
but the doors are closed. We can go through and review that again.
because they're
so
going
that
to
we have-
exit, right? I mean, and
No,
we're
they
right
can
there.
serve
Doors
alcohol,
slamming,
as
people
I
saying
understand
goodnight.
it, to the people that are in the building, and most of, I would.
Oh, so it
and
wouldn't
those are
be
the
a to
people-
to the
those are
public?
Those are the people that are staying there.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
my understanding, but
Okay.
We'll try to get more clarification
Yeah.
for you.
So it's been, you know, you kind of live with whatever it is, but those are my concerns, the value of the property and then the peacefulness that we have right now.
Great, thank you. Next up is Jim Coldham. Jim, you must be married to Amy? Good.
Yes, good evening. I'm Jim Colhart, 247 Woodland Lane, right on Lac La Belle. I've known the Brisks for over 10 years, and everything they do is first class. They cut no corners. They're remarkably generous. They treat all the employees of all their businesses remarkably well. They're a guarantee as far as doing this the right way. I can tell you that the prices are probably going to be out of most people's range. The clientele will be classy. This is nothing like what we have in downtown Oconomowoc with some rowdier, more fun bars where younger people hang out and make a lot of noise. I can hear it. It's my choice to live that close. But the bottom line is, it's my choice to live that close to downtown. My point is that this will be done in a remarkably good way, and I'm 100% in support.
Thank you. Taylor Van Akron?
Hello. My name's Taylor Van Akron. I'm a resident in Oconomowoc at 438 South Main Street. I'm also the daughter of the owners, Joe and Catherine. I just wanted to briefly share my thoughts on the updates that are proposed for Monbijou. I think back on the reason that the house was built in the first place. It was built by the original owners for his wife, calling it My Jewel, and how much love he poured into the building. That same love is still there with myself and my family. We all work there and we run it as a family. We love the building and we take care of the building all together. We love our community and we love our neighbors. I think that the new proposal is a great way to honor the legacy of the original owners and their love by continuing to make it modern day and letting the community share in all of its beauty. It's such a beautiful and historic building, and I think the community deserves to enjoy it as well.
Thank you. Joe Hoffman?
Hi, my name is Joe Hoffman. I live in Oconomowoc on 1215 Blue Dahlia Road, and I am in favor of permitting the Monbijou. I live within a half mile of it, and it would be nice to be able to just walk somewhere that wasn't busy and crazy and loud and have a peaceful drink and walk home and not have to worry about parking or downtown or big crowds. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Bennett Coldheart? I did a bad job on that, sorry. I'm getting closer.
Are there any more family
But,
that we can practice on yet?
I think that's good on the Colhart side here.
No, I love the passion of everybody coming out, so this is great.
Yes, I am Bennett Colhart. I live on 1755 Morgan Station Court, which is some of the new development over by Mayor Magnus over here. And formerly, my wife and I lived on Worthington Street outside of downtown. I just want to come with the perspective of somebody who's worked for Joe and Catherine since their opening of Monbijou. I've worked corporate events, rehearsal dinners outside, wedding parties on the inside, bridal showers. And we've had the 49 people inside and outside, and I would ask the people in the surrounding area, has that been too loud? Has there been any disturbance? Has there been any property damage? And to me, it would be business as usual working those events. I'm the first one in and the last one to leave, so I get to oversee that everything is done properly and that the surrounding area is safe. And knowing Joe and Catherine and their plans for this high-end cocktail lounge, it was the community that was in mind. It was the people in the surrounding area. The history of the building was they would invite people into their garden and host the community. And so when they first dreamt up the idea, it was everybody that lives in the surrounding area, this should be your go-to spot for friends, for family, for people in town, for a high-end experience. This is intimate conversation. I'm not a part of the planning, but I don't see the rowdy crowd being there and the stuff that you're accustomed to with some of the downtown. We're talking about a high-end experience that's welcoming to the community. So I am in favor.
Thank you. Gail Huber. That was a much easier name to say. Thank you.
Not related to Huber beer. Too bad. My name is Gail Huber, and I live at 340 East Lisbon Road in Oconomowoc. and
Can
I
you
think-
speak into the microphone a little bit?
I'm
Thanks.
here to speak against this proposal. I'm concerned about property values. I tried to do kind of an analysis of other residential properties that butt up against bars and taverns, and limiting myself at first to Waukesha County, I did find a few. And granted, they are very modest homes, but still, modest homes sell for a price. And when I compared what they sold for what they could have sold for if they weren't up against a bar or a tavern, on average, I came up with 10% less of their value.
Were they next to, when you say bar or tavern, can you describe them? Because
They were
that would help us. Were they a bar like
Bobby's
Lakers
Bar
or-
and Great Good Times. That's over in Brookfield. It's right where Brookfield and Menominee Falls meet over there. And then there's the Sports Page Bar and Grill, which is in North Prairie.
Okay. No,
That's,
good.
it's hard to find these because most of those properties, I think, are grandfathered in as operations because they're within residential neighborhoods.
Thank you for the clarity.
So 10%, if my facts are true, a 10% on average thing would mean for me, looking at my fair market value according to Waukesha County website, is $35,000. And when I looked at the map of the condos and the houses, a few houses on Lisbon Road, and then there are two in Lakewoods Estate where their backyard backs up to Lisbon Road and then is directly across from the property. You add up the value, the fair market value of all those properties, and then look and take the 10% off, And it would be almost $52,000, $51,800 for that less value for those properties if they, or, you know what I mean. And then I thought to myself, well, you know, maybe this isn't really fair because these are modest neighborhoods and obviously the condos are really lovely neighborhoods and Lakewood Estates has beautiful homes in it too. So then I looked at, I was trying to think of something in Milwaukee and I thought of Pandals in Whitefish Bay, and there is a lovely home that is right up against Pandals in Whitefish Bay. And I did the market on that and found some beautiful comps. And that home sold for 14% less than about 9 other comps that sold at around the same time in Whitefish Bay. So Pandals is, you know, that neighborhood is a much higher quality than the bars and taverns that I found in Waukesha County. So I'm here kind of worried about property values. And that's the market perception, I think, of other, just people in general, is do they want to live next to a commercial area when they have choices to go live somewhere else? So that's all, thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca Steiner.
Hello. I live at 201 Pine Terrace. I'm in the condos. I'm not for the new zoning due to property values, due to the fact that on that road that you see, there is no parking. And it doesn't really, I would suggest you go to the location and really take a look at how close the condos are to that property. Everything's very close. It's a steep hill from the house all the way down to the lake. I live down by the lake. I have a lake view of Greenland and Fowler Lake, and I often see people walking by, looking at the beautiful Airbnb. I get that. But knowing now that there's going to be a bar or tavern up there, they're going to be walking through the gates. And I know that kind of sounds pretentious, but it is all private property. And you're going to need police services to come because there'll be ticketing. It will just happen. People will park where they're not supposed to. Lisbon Avenue is very busy. Anytime I leave the complex up by the Airbnb, there are cars that just whip up that hill to my left. And there's also a whole community behind the Montbijou. That's all families and children, parents walking their kids down Lisbon Avenue across the road to go to Greenland Elementary. And there's already a lot of traffic on there in the first place, and without any crossing cards there, it concerns me. I'm worried about liability. I live in a home with a view, and we often have people that just walk through or walk down by the lake, which is a private park, and we're responsible to pay that liability insurance if accidents happen. And that's one of my concerns. I wanted my own daughter to have a wedding in the private park, and my own HOA turned me down for liability reasons. So it just concerns me that being able to control the people that attend the tavern, how are you going to stop them? I mean, I would go and look at the site. How are you going to stop them from walking wherever they want to walk? I know it sounds pretentious, but we paid for a residential community. We pay high HOA fees that just keep going up because of insurance. And I didn't move there 5 years ago because there was a tavern in the area. That's not what I was looking for. It's not what the residents look for or the families that live all around the Airbnb. So thank you.
Thank you. Paul and Denise Zanoni. So we get 2 at 1, all right.
Hi, my name's Paul. I'm with my wife Denise. We're located right across the street from where there's a gated entrance to the park. And our main concern is liability. We've witnessed people breach the gated entrance many times over the years.
We have a lake view.
If you could come to the speaker, that'd
We
be
have
great.
a lake view. We live right across from Rebecca, who just spoke. and our concerns are liability as well.
Okay.
We have seen people go through the gates and down by the lake, and dangerous behavior I've personally witnessed, and I just worry that a cocktail lounge will only increase, like it did for the former owner. When they had events, there were more people down there that didn't belong in there.
You mentioned dangerous. Question for you. Has it come to the point where you had to call the police?
No, but I probably should have.
Okay, that's fair.
I probably should have.
Okay. Thank you.
So, thank you.
John Brisk.
Hello, I live on 916 North Roosevelt Avenue here in Oconomowoc, and I'm in favor of the Monbijou new ordinance. I've lived here for about 3 years, just about a block and a half from Monbijou, and I've never had any issue with any noise or any of the guests in my area. So I often enjoy taking a walk or running by the Monbijou. It's an establishment that sets our community apart from our neighboring communities. It's just has incredible history, and it just gives Oconomowoc that small town feel. And I would just enjoy the opportunity to be able to walk up to Monbijou and enjoy a refreshment with friends, families, and my neighbors. So, thank you.
Thank you. Jackson Dufault? And I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, Jackson.
It is Dufault or Dufault, that's the French way. I am from 1632 North Franklin Place in Milwaukee. I'm actually the attorney that represents the Pine Terraces Condominium Association. Some of the folks that live in that association have, in the neighboring area, have already spoken today. As you may have guessed, we are opposed to, or I am opposed to this proposal today. I believe last Friday I did send a letter to all the council members. I want to speak briefly on some of the legal challenges that are facing this community as a result of this proposal. Specifically, there is a deed restriction that has existed since 1999 that only allows the property to operate as either a bed and breakfast facility, a single-family residence, or for office use. Unfortunately, the proposal, if it does allow for a tavern to be there, that does not fall under the allowed use for a bed and breakfast facility. And now I do realize that this use restriction doesn't necessarily affect the rights of the city council or what they can do. However, I do want the city council to recognize that by passing this proposal, it would create a legal problem for both the owners of the Monbijou as well as the owners of the Pine Terrace. So I do urge the city council to consider these problems as they relate to the city. I also do want to quickly note too that there was a petition that was submitted, and I believe 88% of the Pine Terrace community did sign this petition, as well as several other owners in the community. So with all that said, I do hope that you will continue to listen to the residents of this community. I believe it's very important to hear them out. I understand there are also people here in support of the Brisk as well, but I do think what's most important here is that the members of the actual community that this property is in are listened to.
You mentioned that there would cause a problem between the two parties. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure.
Or if you don't, that's fine too.
Yes, I just want to note, I mean, for legal purposes, Section 4A of this deed restriction agreement does state the use of the Monbijou property is restricted to use as a bed and breakfast facility and or single-family residence or office use. The use of the Monbijou property as multifamily housing and or for any commercial use other than as a bed and breakfast facility and or office space is expressly prohibited. The problem here is that based on the plain language of this restriction, the property owner is not allowed under this agreement to proceed with placing a tavern or operating any sort of commercial use outside of bed and breakfast. I realize that the history is, they claim that it's an inn. I don't have the facts to verify that in front of me, but that is what they're claiming. But the plain language of this document says that it only may exist as a bed and breakfast facility or two other purposes, and it does not include allowance for a tavern to operate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Maris?
William Maris, I'm at 507 Pine Terrace in Oconomowoc. Mr. Mayor, before I begin, I'd like to beg your indulgence. I have been asked to speak by our president of our homeowners association, who is wintering in Florida, and I have a problem. I have very poor eyesight. In fact, my 7-year-old granddaughter reads a lot better than I do. So please bear with me. I will be brief, but I really had to blow up my notes. The font is huge so that I can read it. It's not a lot here. That'll be done in 2 minutes.
No, thank you for the
Ladies and gentlemen
clarification.
of the council, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. My wife and I live in one of the closest homes in proximity to Monbijou and directly adjacent to the entryway and exit to and from their front door, outdoor parlor onto our private street. If you look at the picture coming directly off on the right is our condo. And there is an entryway, exitway directly from the patio onto the street. I think it was a little misrepresented that there was no way for them to come down onto the road. That's incorrect. That can be verified quite easily. Like so many of our neighbors, I stand in strong opposition to the request for a conditional use permit. Please understand, however, that I harbor no personal animosity toward the Brisks. Indeed, my wife and I were thrilled with their wonderful restoration of their principal residence, the historic Scudder's Cottage on Fowler's Lake. As someone said earlier, it's a gem and reflects well on the city. Similarly, Monbijou, formerly the Inn at Pine Terrace, is a historic treasure. My wife and I have stayed there, as have, I'm told, Mark Twain and 3 U.S. presidents. The problem is its location, that it sits right on top of a quiet residential community composed almost exclusively of retired seniors. You should note that the Pine Terrace senior population is comprised of an affluent and highly influential body of retired business owners, professionals, managers, teachers, and clergy. Many are veterans, including a retired Army Major General. We have a long record of service to Oconomowoc. Many of us have served on boards, raised funds, teaching classes, and donating considerable time, money, and talents. Names such as the Briscoes, Debbings, Royals, and many other noted Oconomowoc citizens have called Pine Terrace home. My wife served the community as a teacher at both the junior and senior high school for many years, and I serve in Christian ministry. We all relocated to Pine Terrace, many from lake homes and other long-term residences, to retire in what closely resembles the serenity of a gated community. Suffice to say, our neighbors are concerned and some are angry about the certainty that the peace and tranquility of our community is now in danger. Of great concern is the outdoor patio with its attendant noise and traffic being utilized 7 nights a week. Ladies and gentlemen, consider now how you would feel if an open till midnight outdoor lounge was permitted within the midst of your quiet retirement community. I ask you to please do your elected duty and vote to protect and preserve the rights and tranquility of our senior citizens who have so faithfully served this community. Mr. Mayor and the board, thank you very much.
Thank you. I have another one from Paul Zanoni. The two of you came up together, but I have another card. You're good? Okay.
Ask her.
Mike Ostrengest? I'm sorry, Mike. You've come before, so I apologize.
No issue. Mike Ostrenga, 504 Pine Terrace. You've all received the petition that I've sent to you via email, so you know what our concerns are. And just for a little bit of context, we have 76 residents in Pine Terrace. We have 67 signatures on our petition, in opposition to this permit. So that leaves 9 of our residents that haven't signed. 2 of the 9 are against, but did not want the names on any petition. And one of those individuals spoke here tonight. 2 are snowbirds and were not responsive to my email. 2 are non-committal. 1 is, quote, not against the lounge, and 2 appear to be in favor of the lounge. So if you're doing the math with me, that's 3 in favor out of 76, less than 4%. That's just a little bit of context. Plus, we have 22 non-Pine Terrace neighbors, essentially across Lisbon Road from us, who have also signed. So of the 89 who have signed, we all individually have a lot of friends, some relatives, friends from church, friends from the Y, throughout the Oconomowoc City, across all aldermanic districts. We all know people, dozens, sometimes up to 100. That could be thousands of individuals who would be sympathetic to our petition. We believe by voting in favor of this permit would be denying the will of many, many of your constituents to favor 2. It's hard to imagine that you would pass this. Thank you.
Have one question. Alderman Spiegelberg asked to make had a question for you. Alderman
Mr.
Spiegelberg.
Ostrenga, the original petition, wasn't that under the assumption that this was going to be a zoning change and not a text amendment?
Doesn't matter. Every one of those issues on that petition are the same, whether it's a zoning change or a conditional use permit.
But wasn't that petition also under the assumption that this would be open till 2 a.m. like a regular bar would be in the state of Wisconsin?
That was not the assumption. Some individuals might have thought that, but no, that was not the case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to Phil Herman. Take your time.
Bill Herman, 308 Pine Terrace, and my wife and I are the lucky ones. If you look at the picture, you see the garage. We're right below the hill. We're right next to them. And we did sign a petition that all of our owners signed against it. My concern, just like everyone else's, would be the parking and the noise. But one thing that I know would happen would be extending the parking lot. The previous owners extended the asphalt parking area, and they actually wrapped around the garage with asphalt. And I have video of a heavy rainstorm where water was almost like a waterfall coming down around our condo, and I did get water in the basement, not a lot, but enough to wipe up and clean up. My concern is if they do expand the parking lot, that they would consider water management, that there's a lot of water that runs down.
Did the previous owner address the water issue?
Yes, I sent them the video, and
Did they do anything? I
they
guess?
tried, they did an effort to put just a little drainage ditch.
Okay.
And they put pea gravel down, but now with rainstorms, I see pea gravel on our lot, and it also washed out part of a wall that we have. And we have stepping stones to walk around that part of the condo, and all the ground is washed away and the stones are high. So I think the water management is a big concern, and if this goes through, we know they're gonna expand the parking lot.
Thank you.
And if worse comes to worse, and that, maybe we could all have free drinks. All Pine Terrace gets free drinks. Thank you.
On to Joe and Catherine Brisk.
Done. The free drinks for for all the residents of Pine Terrace. I'll agree to that. No.
Do we have
Joe
that on-
Brisk and Catherine Brisk at 307 North Lake Road. Just a little bit about us. You know, we're fairly recent transplants to Oconomowoc. Bought the old Masonic Lodge in 2014. Spent 7 years turning it back into a house. Moved our adult children. We've got 7 grandchildren, all live in the area. And we've really grown to love the small-town charm of Oconomowoc. When we had the opportunity to buy Mon Bijou, we jumped at the chance. It's a family business. Catherine runs it. She works it full-time. Her sister works there full-time. My youngest son works there full-time. And all my other kids and their significant others play a role in the business. We've been privileged to share Mon Bijou in Oconomowoc with a lot of our out-of-town guests. Mon Bijou is definitely the next chapter of our lives. Mon Bijou is a high-end luxury hotel. It's never been a bed and breakfast. It's not an Airbnb. It's a hotel, and a cocktail lounge is a permitted use of a hotel if we are deemed a hotel. If someone lives in Oconomowoc and doesn't want to spend the money to go rent a room and stay there, they're never really going to get a chance to step foot in or experience what Mon Bijou is all about. Approving the special use ordinance will give residents of the city the opportunity to do so. You know, we've heard a lot of the neighbors' concerns. We tried to have a meeting with the neighbors and address some of them. You know, the trespassing, Catherine and I had asked the group of 20 or so that we met with, have there been any issues since we've owned it? And they couldn't identify any issues in terms of the trespassing or some of their concerns, but we're concerned about future issues. We were under the assumption that we're pretty tight with the neighbors, and we've tried to be gracious and welcoming to them. So I guess we didn't really understand the depth of the trespassing, or, you know, we get it. And we are going to make sure we have signage. We're going to make sure our guests are well aware. You don't go that direction. You stay off the private roads, you stay off the private sidewalk. We are not going to have a trespassing issue from guests of Mon Bijou. The lack of parking, the gentleman who spoke on the runoff, that's first I've heard of that, but one of the things that I've parked cars in the last 3 events in the last month at Mon Bijou. I had 25 to 26 cars in the lot with ability to still get around and get in and out. I can get up to 35 spots in there, and rather than, it would be far cheaper to put concrete or asphalt, I'm gonna go a pervious, stamped landscaping stone where the grass can grow through, the water can go through. Anything we do for additional parking is not going, it's gonna be a pervious application that water is not, it's not gonna add to any water issues. And I will try and, you know, find out a little bit more about that and address the current situation. You know, the fear of excessive noise, it's built like a castle. We are having a new front entrance put in. They have gone through 3 courses of stone, and they have yet to hit the wall inside. The interior walls are 1.5 feet thick, and the lower level is probably 2.5 feet thick. It's built like a castle. I've taken some of the most recent events. In fact, one of the Common Council members came to see it firsthand on Sunday. We had 40 people, a bridal shower. They're having cocktails, socializing. We walked out right where that picture is. You could not hear a sound. The air is tempered there. In the winter, it's heated. In the summer, it's air conditioned. The windows are not going to be open. The doors are not going to be open. Any function that happens inside, you can't hear from the outside. We already have the ability to do outdoor functions. I think past owners have had big events. We have one big event on the books that is booked and we have to honor. Other than that, our sweet spot are 30 to 50 guests. High-end, quality, smaller events is our sweet spot. And if we're fortunate enough to get the special use ordinance passed, you know, we feel that the cocktail lounge is not going to be any more intensive than our special events. A cocktail lounge, the noise would be from couples getting a drink inside, walking outside to have a cocktail, and the noise would be from conversations. We are not, you know, an Et Cetera or a Vino or one of the downtown bars. We are going to be a high-end, relaxing, classical, relaxing music, a place where couples can talk. So the disturbance would be from people talking, it would be people's voices. We voluntarily reduced our hours, and we'll also look to add some additional screening. You can see we've got 6, 7-foot arborvitaes. My home, to get screening and privacy, I've got 30-foot arborvitaes. I can make that go away. If there's light pollution, if they want additional sound deadening, I can screen it off as much as the neighbors would like it screened. I think it's probably a benefit for them to see it, but if they want to create us to create more separation, we're happy to do it. If the special use ordinance passes and the condo owners are right, and we're a nuisance business, they have recourse. We're gonna be called back in here, we're gonna lose our ability to operate. If the special use ordinance is defeated and the condo owners were wrong, they would have, and we wouldn't have been a nuisance business, we have no recourse. Monbijou is an important part of Oconomowoc past, present, and future, and I implore you to give Monbijou a chance.
Thank you.
Hi, Catherine Brisk. My husband pretty much said it all, but I just kind of wanted to add, we've now been in business for a year. February 28th will be a year. And we've had, like Joe mentioned, we've had a lot of events. We have not had one complaint after being in business for 1 year. We're respectful, our guests are respectful. I would like to just make a comment on the trespassing. So my office is in the front, and I am here 7 days a week. I'm pretty much here 7 days a week, even if we don't have any guests. Just, I'm there. As I'm looking out the window, I am looking at all the neighbors from across the street walking down, trespassing where the condos are. So they may see people trespassing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's from our hotel. So I just wanted to point that out to even our neighbors, that if you see somebody, please just don't think right away that it is one of our guests. But I just ask that you please just give us a chance to prove ourselves right. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Anderson?
I live at 338 East Lisbon Road. I'm kind of kitty corner across from the inn. My concern, again, is traffic and parking. With all the development in the area, our country roads are no longer country. Nobody likes to go through downtown. Lisbon Road has become a major thoroughway to get around the city. And unfortunately, where I'm positioned is my driveway is kind of on the downside of the hill. People come flying around that hill and down the street. Last year, there was an event at the inn, and in the past, I have gone to the police department complaining about the traffic and the speeders. But this time, it was that, and also the fact that during one event, they had cars parked on the easements on the corner, on the north and the south side of Lisbon Road, which was very unsafe. It kind of blocked my view of traffic coming in and out, and it very hard to see who was coming around the curb and down the hill. So I'm just kind of concerned with where are the people going to park? The parking lot can only hold so many. I don't want cars parking in front of my house. And I think too, is it Pine Lake? Pine Road? Occasionally, you will see cars parked along that street also and walking up to the events. So I just feel that the traffic is a concern, and where are these people going to park? And the people coming out at night from the tavern. That's it.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Susan Sorrentino.
Hello, I'm Susan Sorrentino. I live at West 360 North 9049 Brown Street, Oconomowoc. That's in the town. But I'm here not only as a local resident. Excuse me? Or excuse me, the village. Oops. I'm here not only as a local resident, I'm also here as the Brisks lawyers.
I didn't mean to mess you up, I'm sorry.
That's all right. There are 3 areas I want to cover with you, and the first is the restriction that Attorney Jackson Defoe has brought up. I've seen a copy of it, and frankly, as he agreed, the restriction, even if it is enforceable, doesn't prevent you from granting the conditional use permit. He said that on the record, and that is the case, and I agree with him on that. It's about where our agreement stops. We don't believe the restriction, if it's even still enforceable, if it hasn't passed the statute of limitations, and if the parties can even enforce it anymore, that it would apply to the circumstance. And even if it were enforceable, what the Brisks are proposing to do doesn't violate the restriction if the restriction were to survive a challenge. He's told me that they plan on challenging it. I don't know if that's really the case or if that's bluster, but we are definitely prepared to defend it. This has been a hotel for more than 100 years. Like many of the residents who live nearby, I too have lived in the Oconomowoc area. I moved here in 1966 and have either lived in the city or the town for the majority of my life. I went to Greenland Grade School. I was friends with Vicki Ziebelman when her grandmother owned Pine Terrace. It's been a hotel for as long back as I can remember, and people renting rooms. There had been a restaurant there at one time in which they served alcohol. There have been plenty of other times where alcohol has been served, whether it's been served appropriately or with permission of the city, I don't know. But right now, the Brisks are owning it, and they want to do everything the right way. They've come to you to apply to make sure that they're completely legal. They don't want to do anything underhanded. They want to have everything right up front. They've come to you with the hope that you will issue not only the ordinance, but also the conditional use permit so they can do everything up front. They've been operating it for a year. There was a gentleman, I had notes before my notes fell apart, I think it was Mr. Maris, who talked about how he enjoys living there in the serenity of it. The Brisks have no interest in disturbing the serenity. By having their guests to be able to have people who walk around the lake or occasional people come in and have a drink, they don't believe that it would disturb the serenity whatsoever. And as far as property values that the other woman explained, I think that the quality of what the Brisks are proposing would in fact bring the property values up. I think it would be a benefit to the area, not a detriment to the area. Another gentleman, Mr. Ostrenga, did a number of mathematical equations for us in which he did the math on how many of the condo residents have signed this petition. And as Ms. Spiegelberg had noted, the petition was circulated at the prompting of when they originally had requested rezoning. They've withdrawn their rezoning request. So it's unclear how many of those residents who signed the petition are even aware that the zoning request has been withdrawn and what the petition is for now. But regardless, they've listed out their concerns, and we have proposed manners to address every single one of them. The parking, the noise, by the way, there used to be a swimming pool up until 2 years ago in the back, and I can't imagine that couples sitting out in the back patio are going to be any noisier than a swimming pool has been over the last 20 years. So we've tried to meet with Mr. Defoe. I've offered to meet with him and his family. They've refused to meet with us so we can even address their issues. We don't want to be contentious with our neighbors, but we also feel that we need to be able to operate this in the manner that it really had been historically operated and at a high quality. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. I do not have any more blue cards. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment or a blue card? You can fill it out quickly. If not, we'll close this public hearing, and these two issues will be addressed from the public hearing by the council very shortly. But I just want to make sure that everybody's had a chance to be heard and that council has all of your thoughts. Without any requests and without any additional submissions, we'll be closing this public hearing at this time. Council, I'd like to move on to the approval of the minutes for February 4th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? At this time, we have comments and suggestions from citizens on any aspect that you want to share with the council at this time. This is your opportunity in a one-way discussion to share anything on anything going on in the city or ideas that you may have. And also, we would request that you have a blue card for this. Is there anyone that has any comments or anything that they would like to share with the council at this time? Hearing nothing, seeing nothing, we're going to move on to our consent agenda items. I'd like to entertain a motion for the consent agenda items, 7A and 7B.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And move on. We'll move on to our committee reports. We have one this evening. Consider act on the budget amendments for the fourth quarter grants and donations received and a year-end budget adjustments.
Thank
Ms.
you, Mayor.
Sullivan Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight we have the 2024 fourth quarter budget amendments. The first one, of course, being the grants and donations to council. So I have them listed out in the financial analysis section for you. Donations of $783,731, mostly for Rockwell Park. And the grants, $212,000, again, mostly for Rockwell Park. There's also some police donations in there, K-9, boat launch, various other smaller donations. I tonight do have for you 11 budget amendments. As I said, the first one is the grants and donations. Because it's the end of the year in the fourth quarter, I've got some kind of cleanup amendments for you as well. So I'm just going to go through these real quick for you. The second amendment that we have on here is to authorize the use of some of our reserve donations for maintenance. So we get donations ahead of time for the pickleball court maintenance and for taking care of the K-9. And so we keep it in a reserve fund, and in order to use those funds, we need a budget amendment to use them. That's what this is for. Number 3 is to transfer funds from the general fund and utilities to cover the overages in the fleet fund. Now, that's something we've been talking about since about August, I think, in the quarterly meetings. And so that over budget amount was $122,000 this year and was allocated to the various departments. The next budget amendment 4 and 5 are really to allocate the final funds in the ARPA funds. Those are completely used now, and we're closing that grant out with the government. Budget amendment number 6 is to transfer the 2024 excess interest revenue to the capital projects budget for 2025. That's something that was decided during the budget time. This is the amendment to actually move $24 into the 25 budget. The next one is to reallocate some items related to the boat launch operations. This year, we did make a separate division from the waterfront and separated out the boat launch items so that we could more easily keep track of the costs of the boat launch. So that is just kind of cleaning up that account. And then we have a transfer of funding from the watershed fund to capital projects, and that's for their GIS mapping project. So it's a budgeted item. We just need to transfer the funds to the capital projects. Number 9 is to true up, these are bookkeeping or housekeeping ones, just true up the operating capital transfers from Western Lakes. There's no dollar amount change, it's just a category change. And then number 10 is the 2024 activity in the TIF 7 fund. This is something we always bring at the end of the year for the TIF district because we really don't know what the activity is going to be until we're working on a project. So we bring those at the end of the year every year. And then the final one is to allocate crew wages to the correct divisions in Public Works and Parks. So we keep crew wages all year, and then at the end of the year, we allocate them to the divisions that they were actually worked in, and that's what this budget amendment's for. So with that, I'll ask you if you have any questions, but otherwise remind you that budget amendments do require 2/3 vote of the council.
Council, do you have any questions for Lori Sullivan Murray? And are you comfortable to make a motion for all of these amendments at this time?
So moved.
Second, Rozick.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Elders.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
On to our first Plan Commission item, consider act on Valley Road condominium plat that creates Unit 7 within the development known as Market Square located at 1672 Old Schoolhouse Road. Mr. Gallo.
Thank you. This comes with a recommendation from the Plan Commission to approve this condominium plat. A lot of times when people think of a condominium plat, they think of a residential use, condos. But we also have commercial condominium plats. And we're one of the few communities in the state that requires condominium plats to come before both the Plan Commission and the Common Council. So we have a condominium plat. This is out at Market Square. It's used to be known as Brennan's Marketplace. We approved this 15 years ago. However, it was amended by the applicant, and that amendment never came forward to the city. So I was asked to start looking at unit number 7. That's what we're going to be talking about. And I said, that unit was never officially approved. So it's been bought and sold several times, but they recorded it, and it was never gone through this body. So this is an after-the-fact approval. I'll kind of show you what happened. In 2009, I know that's more than 15 years ago, but this is what Brennan's Marketplace looked like. Brennan's was right here, and it was called Valley Road Commons, and we had all these different units in here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and it was just very unusual. This was the plaza area. This is 67 here, and this is Valley Road. So, oh boy, what happened here? The computer locked up. I got a great presentation here.
It is good.
Every one of them are.
So this is Ivan. He takes care of us. Ivan's in our IT department and does a great job for the community and spends a lot of time with multiple departments here at the city of Oconomowoc. So without Ivan, we'd be in trouble. Thank you, Ivan.
Good? Yeah. Okay, so I would like you to focus on this area shown in where the red circle is. That's Unit 7. And all these buildings were built. We have an empty lot here. This was the old Brennan's Marketplace. Now it's called By the Yard. They sell yard furniture. We have the U.S. Bank building, various users in here, Qdoba, and that plaza. And we actually approved Cafe Zupa's for this vacant area that's going to be built. So in 2010, they wanted to divide this building, Unit 4, into a 4A and a 4B, and these were approved as two-story buildings, and the Common Council that was before you guys, they said, let's take the square footage for the second floor, it doesn't make sense for commercial, and we'll move that to a parking lot site. So the general development plan was approved for this development, but the plat was never approved. So in 2010, when that was done, the GDP was approved, they went ahead and they the prior owner of the time, at the time, went ahead and told the surveyor, who was Mark Powers, right here, to go ahead and do that. He did this April 29th, and it was recorded like May 4th, so like 5 days later. It was no way was it ever come before you guys. So there was an approval in 2014, and I was really hoping that Unit 7 would have been shown, because this one came before the City Plan Commission and Council, but it unfortunately did not show the entire area. This is a recorded one at the courthouse. This came before the city. I have a staff report from 14. This is creating the Firestone and then the site for Cafe Zupas. So let's just show you what happened. 9 was this way. 10, they approved the amendment to the GDP, and they did Unit 7 without the city approvals. 14, they reapproved it, and right now, this is what the county is looking at. On the county map, you can see this one matches this area, and all the rest kind of match this. So they just never, so this is an after the fact, more of a housekeeping item, but the word is that we have to approve condominium plats. We approved the one in 9 came before the council, the one in 14 did, but the one in 2010, missing Unit 7, never came before us. So the Plan Commission did review this. They understand it happened. There was just some miscommunication with the owner. When the council approved the GDP, they said, let's just get that taken care of, and it never got fully approved.
Any questions or comments from council? Alderman Shellpepper.
So this is going to allow for an additional building to be built then there than originally anticipated?
Right, Unit 7 is a commercial pad. In the general development plan, it said for a commercial building, 5,666 square foot maximum. So they have another building. I was approached by a design build firm that said we'd like to put a building on there. And that's when we caught it. So now they're coming back.
And when you say we have to approve a condominium plot, you mean we have to vote on it, but do we have to approve it as well?
Right.
I mean,
No.
are you saying that this is something that we're already kind of obligated to do because it's after the fact, or you called it housekeeping?
There's a couple questions there. With anything that comes before the Common Council, you don't ever have to approve it.
Yeah.
Right, but in order for them to get a building permit, you would have to approve it. That's what I'm saying. And it would be very challenging to say no to this plat, because we did approve a GDP amendment in 2010 that allowed them to shift the square footage from this building here out into the parking lot. That's documented in staff reports. The applicant's aware of that. They just never physically then put it on the plat.
Like a Scribner's error.
We know about those. Does that
Other
change-
questions
Does that
from
change the water usage or the wastewater usage? Are there any concerns out there then in terms, I mean, because that's one of the areas where that's occurred.
There's no concerns out there.
Okay. I thought it was right by the car washes. That's where the,
Upgraded.
There was concerns in other areas, but that was not this area at all.
okay.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Gallo? I'd like to entertain a motion.
Rozak so moved.
Second, Altman Cloth.
Any further comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth. Aye.
Without objection, council, I'd like to bring forth item 9C and then 9B. They're in the wrong order on your agenda. We need to address the text amendment first. If the text amendment doesn't go forward, then there's no reason to address the conditional use at this time. Any objections? Okay, Mr. Gallo.
Thank you. The text amendment, again, was asked by the City Plan Commission. They directed staff. We did draft this ourselves internally. We had our attorney review it. We did notice it in the paper. This is an amendment to Chapter 17. This talks about legal but non-conforming uses of properties for a hotel, motel, and inn only. It's not for any non-conforming uses, can be continued on, and it can be expanded with a conditional use permit. It has to determine that it does not create any problems with the neighborhood. And that's for you guys to determine with granting a conditional use. But we put in there that you guys have that ability to grant a conditional use for an expansion of a non-conforming use.
This does not mean the next item you have to vote for or against. This is separate. Also, I want to make note that this is the first reading, so you have the option to waive the second reading or just vote on it as a first reading at this time. So we have any questions for Mr. Gallo?
I do.
Alderman Mulder?
Well, technically, then we need to do the second, we need to waive the second reading to be able to move on the next item.
That's true.
Correct. Point of clarity.
Alderman Shell Pepper?
How many legal, non-conforming lodgings are there, or would there be in the city if this ordinance gets approved?
Country Inn.
I would think one.
Okay. I didn't know if this would impact any other properties.
We have several other hotels and lodging establishments. This does not talk about the like Airbnbs or those types of ones that people rent their homes. Those are considered, first of all, they're allowed in residential use. Second, those are not considered hotels or motels. So we only have 3 or 4 hotels in the city. The Hilton, the Staybridge, the Town Place Suites, the one on Wisconsin Avenue. Those are all zoned commercial. So the only establishment that I'm aware of would be the next item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Ellis?
So if this is, excuse me, if this is not approved, what does that say? That says that the outside, those individuals that are not staying at the hotel would not be able to go in and have those drinks or those cocktails? Is that what that's stating? What is that stating?
Stan's going to jump in here.
Well, this is just a zoning amendment. And if you don't approve the zoning amendment, then the property we're talking about will continue to be illegal non-conforming use. In other words, it'll continue just as it is. Don't know if that answers the question.
The existing property would not be able to expand and have a tavern for the public without this text amendment.
So there would be no tavern for the general public outside of their guests? Is that what I hear? Okay, thank you.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
And as a point of clarification, when Jason says they would not be allowed to expand, it doesn't mean the building, it means expanding their uses.
Yeah.
So Alderman Shell Pepper addressed my question on other hotels or lodging facilities within the city. And then I had some questions from some constituents on what does this mean for VRBOs or Airbnbs? You answered that. Could you speak, though, to, originally this came forward as a potential zoning change, but then there was the opinion by you and others that this would be better for this to go in this direction versus a zoning to commercial. Can you speak to that, please, Jason?
The initial request, what prompted this ordinance, that's how come I'm tying them together. The initial request was a rezoning of the property straight to commercial. Commercial zoning, once granted, allows a lot of different uses. A lot of them are permitted by right, that the city would have no say that you cannot do that. Some uses would be conditional use when you have commercial zoning, and that you would have a right. But under straight commercial zoning, there's a lot of uses that, like liquor stores, tattoo parlors, body piercing, that we don't want in a neighborhood. So this ordinance was suggested by the Plan Commission as an alternate route to maybe accomplish something that would require a conditional use permit that gets the zoning use there, but does not, but would be with conditions that this established by this board.
So you would say long-term then, that overall this is much better for the residents surrounding the Monbijou versus a zoning change to commercial, where for the reasons that you said, could get more out of hand, so to speak, with their uses or
This is
permitted uses?
Much more control by the city of the use by creating this text amendment, because this requires a conditional use permit versus if this fails, they could apply for commercial zoning again, and if that passes, it was never denied. It was just kind of went a different direction. If they reapply for commercial zoning, then we don't have a conditional use. So this is more control with a conditional use.
Alderman Douglas?
I guess I'll separate my questions in the two different areas that we're going to talk about. So in this situation, legal nonconforming use, let's take the tavern out of it. You're talking about hotel, motel, and inn. One of the, I guess, conditional uses might be to have a restaurant. Like, they wouldn't be able to do that under the legal nonconforming use without a conditional use permit, correct?
Right, they would have to come back, that's a different use. They would have to come back and say, I
So
want a
take tavern out of
conditional
Any
use.
type of commercial.
Or amend this
tavern.
permit if they ever granted it. They would have to seek a new conditional use with a public hearing if they needed to expand their current use.
Alderman Mulder?
Just for an abundance of clarity and making sure I'm understanding, if this passes, we will then discuss whether or not we're going to allow for use as a tavern. So we can pass and then have that debate, and passing this does not guarantee they are going to be operating as a tavern.
This has nothing to
Correct.
do
But
with
if we vote against this,
Lisbon
then we
Road.
will never have that discussion or have that vote. So
That's
voting in
correct.
favor of this allows us to have that discussion and make that secondary decision. But this decision is not whether or not to allow a tavern. It's confusing, so I just want to make sure we all see that same sequence.
Correct. Alderman
Does that
Rozak?
make sense?
That's correct. I mean, to make it really simple, the hotel is a legal non-conforming use because it's been operating for 100 years essentially as a hotel. We're saying by this text amendment that other hotels, motels, or inn, including Monbijou, that are legally non-conforming, could potentially expand their use by a vote from us in the future, whether it's them or anyone else.
But there's only one at this time. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from council?
Motion to approve the text amendment.
Second.
Any further questions or comments?
Waive the second reading?
Are you requesting to waive the second?
Oh, yeah, I'll
Would you
amend it to-
restate, please?
Yeah. Motion to approve the text amendment waiving the second reading.
Second.
Any further questions or comments from the council? Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Coloth.
Aye.
On to our next item is consider act on the conditional use permit for Monbijou located at 351 East Lisbon Road to expand a non-conforming use or lodging establishment.
We held a public hearing on this item earlier tonight. I kind of kept track. I had 9 people in favor and 10 against. So it was pretty evened out. Some of the things that I wrote down for in favor was enjoying cocktails. We'll be doing this correctly. It continues a legacy. It's walkable. There's been no complaints. It's a high-end experience. There's a small-town feel. They're going to be using pervious pavers. There's thick walls to reduce noise. There's been no complaints. Trespassers are not guests, and a swimming pool has been removed. Against it, we had property values, truck traffic, hours with people exiting, lack of parking, liability, strangers walking, deed restriction, a petition with 88% of this Pine Terrace, peaceful area, no longer 7 nights a week, noise, extension of parking, water drainage, lack of water management. So those were just the summary of there's pretty evened out for and against. Again, it's a conditional use permit. It's only talking about primarily this area to convert it into an upscale lounge tavern. Is this really a tavern? I don't know. This is more of a lounge. When I think of tavern, I think of the establishments in our downtown. This is a lounge to enjoy a cocktail. We've talked about parking. It's been offered up to do some brick pavers to continue the parking. Brick pavers are a good compromise because it doesn't add asphalt for a hard surface. Water can still drain through the pavers. During the public hearing introduction, I noted that there was a total of 19 conditions on the permit, and that what the big thing is if there's any complaints, we can bring them back in to address those concerns of the neighborhood. I'd be happy to answer any questions. The Plan Commission did add the hours of operation, which is at your stations, and they gave a recommendation to approve this, and I believe it was a unanimous vote.
Council, at this time, do you have any questions for Mr. Gallo? You also have the applicants here. If you'd like to bring them up, that's fine. I think this is something that's really important for the community, and we have a lot of inputs, so I think we want to make sure we get it right. Alderman Maroney.
My question was regarding the hours of operation. I know we spoke on that earlier. I think one of the residents brought that up. I was a little confused myself. What does 12 a.m. mean? Does that mean that we are, does that mean somebody can order a drink until 11 p.m., or what does that mean?
If you'd identify yourself for the record, please.
Joe Brisk, owner of Monbijou. We have hotel guests, so we have hotel guests that are staying there, and we didn't want to say, hey, listen, you got to go to bed now. You can't have a cocktail. Our hours for the hotel right now, we lock the doors at 10 o'clock on the weekdays, 11 o'clock on Friday and Saturday, and any time after that, guests have to enter with a code. So many nights we may not be open at all. We're just saying the bar service will stop by 12 a.m. on the inside if say there are hotel guests that wanted a cocktail. Most times that's not going to be the case.
Sure. I mean, my only concern was the late night crowd.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Doors closed 10 during the week, 11 on the weekends. Nobody comes in after that.
Thank you.
Alderman Douglas.
But if they're inside, they can remain there until.
Yeah, we're not going to kick them out, but by midnight, I think they'd have to leave, and we're dark, so.
Alderman Douglas.
That was my question.
Oh, that was your question. Okay, great. Two and one, two.
Oh.
Yes, Alderman Ellis.
As far as the, if this does pass, I do have a question in reference to the hours of operation. Do you have a problem with Sundays, instead of it being 10 o'clock, being 9 o'clock? Instead of 11 p.m. on Thursday through Saturday, I believe it is, making that 10 o'clock. For recognized holidays, closing at 10 instead of 11. Do you have any problems with that? And the reason why I say that is because, we within a 2 block radius, we have 11 bars. And if they're that thirsty, they need to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we're really competing with those establishments.
I don't think you are either.
We're creating a different experience. If somebody, has a special occasion and they want to go somewhere where they're not going to see a ball game, they're not going to hear loud music, and they want to have a conversation with their significant other, and they're going to get a very good drink, but probably a more expensive drink than they would other places, they'll come by us. So it's a little bit of a different place than maybe some of our competitors around us. We're not looking for big numbers of people, just same with our events. We're looking for small amounts of high-end, guests for events. Same thing with the accessory use of the cocktail lounge. We're not anticipating large numbers of people. We're not really going to change the intensity of the usage. But what it does do is it opens it up for members of the community to be able to come in there. Many people would love to see what Monbijou looks like or go in there and experience it. And unless you're an out-of-town guest or we're fortunate enough to go to an event there, you'll never see it. And that's a shame because we'd like to share it with other citizens of the city.
So you never answered my question, yes or no?
Well, I don't want to speak for Catherine here. Catherine runs the place. So you're asking, would we close at 9 o'clock on Sundays and 10 o'clock on the weekends?
Correct.
What do you think about that, Catherine?
Catherine Brisk. Honestly, I don't have a problem at all closing at 10 o'clock on Sundays because
Yes, 9 o'clock on Sundays.
Oh, 9 o'clock on 9 o'clock on Sundays, because chances are, the honest truth is, we're probably not even going to be open 7 days a week. And I view our hotel as seasonal. This is not, it's different than the hotels around Pabst Farms. It just is. We have not had a guest in a month. And, honestly, that's fine with us because we are doing some renovations and whatever. But I'm not comfortable with closing at 10 o'clock on a Friday and Saturday. I think closing at 11 o'clock, considering lounges, bars are open until 2 a.m., I believe. I don't know. I'm good with 11 o'clock. Yeah. 11 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays, and I'm not trying to be a stickler or anything, but, people have private parties there, and, yeah, no.
Well, it's my understanding that those that are there having their parties, that this won't pertain to. This is the public I'm referring to.
Oh,
So this has nothing to do with a private event.
Outside individuals trying to get in because they wanna-
okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So I don't have, so we would just lock our doors an hour early, and then nobody from the outside can come in. I don't have any problems with that.
Okay.
I mean, this is not that kind of a lounge, I mean, a bar.
Question, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Alderman Rozak.
Mr. Brisk, you said that you were thinking about putting up some more screening along the side of the patio. Is that something that we could add to the conditional use if you're going to do that?
I would be comfortable with that. It's a give and take. If I'm a neighbor and I'm looking up at Monbijou, unlike some of the comments where I would strongly disagree that we're gonna diminish property values. Once the neighborhood sees what we're all about and that we aren't creating a disturbance, we're gonna increase their property values because people are gonna go, hey, I can walk there and I can go to Monbijou. We are not gonna cause a disturbance. We are not gonna have a bad experience with our neighbors. If there are issues that are brought to our attention, we had an issue brought at the Plan Commission meeting. That night, by the next day, we had our lighting guy out there, all lights are dark at 11.
Yeah.
We had it going to a little bit later.
I'm not going to require more screening. My understanding too is that there's been some modifications to state law that does not allow us to actually place those additional conditions on. So you can voluntarily do that, and I think you've already done that with the hours of operation. I personally am comfortable with the hours of operation you provided. If we were to grant it, you could have gone till, normal bar hours, which is a much later time. So I'm not going to require that, but I think it's something you should think about.
But yeah, I think that's, we're happy to do it. If the neighbors would like some additional screening and sound deadening, we're happy to do it. But just, you probably aren't going to see the building, and maybe they don't want to see the building. And we would do it if we thought it would help.
Yeah, I think
the
you should
neighbors.
just think about it in the future. I have a variety of other comments, but I don't have any more questions for them, so.
Then let me hit some more questions. Alderman Mulder?
Mine's just a quick comment. I really appreciate all the effort you've made, both in communicating with the council and with the neighbors, and all the efforts you've made to make this, as palatable as it can be to any of the neighbors. It's a difficult situation. You're in my district and Karen's district, weighing against what we spoke on the phone, and I have confidence in what you're saying, that this is intended to be, and that you're going to go out of your way to work well with the neighbors. So balancing that against, the probably 50 emails in the petition that was shared before, this is where it becomes, for me personally, becomes difficult, because I believe in what you're trying to accomplish there, but then also just, have to be respectful to what the constituents are telling me directly. So I just wanted to thank you for being so forthright and really, I think, doing this the right way in terms of going about trying to make a change to the community and to the property. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Thank you, guys. Also, I was there Sunday, and I met with Joe and Catherine. I walked the entire perimeter of the property. We looked at the parking. We looked at noise. They talked about the windows aren't going to be open at any time. We talked about the fact that the opportunities for people to sit outside are going to be very limited. I mean, let's face it, tonight, no one's going to be sitting outside at Monbijou enjoying a wonderful cocktail. We talked about the trespassing. We talked about so many different things, and I was so impressed with everything they came back with. And yet, Matt and I are both in District 1, and I've talked to so many of you people, and I so appreciate all of your concerns, and I listened on both sides of the issue, but I was very impressed with what they had to tell me and with the opportunity to give them a chance to do this and to do it right. And one thing we did talk about too, and part of it is within the conditional use permit, under 18 review, the Plan Commission reserves the right, and I would add to that, the Plan Commission and the Common Council reserve the right to review the operation at any time and amend the conditional use permit as the Plan Commission deems appropriate. And wondered if you guys would be willing to come back in a year and we talk this through again and we see how are things going, and we talk about all the concerns and were they addressed and how are things going. If we don't give them a chance, then we never have this opportunity for this beautiful property to be open to the public, because you'd only be able to be there if you're a guest there. This property has been such a historical part of our community, and yet it seems like it's just been so closed off to so many people. This gives people the opportunity to enjoy it. Even the residents, I think, if we give them a chance, I think within that year, you'll see that, that they've done it well and that they've done it right, and that no changes will be affecting you. As Catherine said, within a year, they've never had any infractions or any types of concerns from the neighbors.
Yeah,
Alderman
we'd be happy to come back in a year and just,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Alderman Mulder, what, you had a follow-up?
I did have a question for Attorney Riffle. We heard from both sides, legal from both sides, about the easement. And do you have an opinion on that? Have you reviewed that as to whether
I
that?
have an opinion. We got nothing to do with that. It's a private restriction.
Thank you for your
And
opinion.
both lawyers agree with me. Wow, 3 lawyers. 4 lawyers agree.
I agree.
Just means we have to pay for lawyers.
Exactly. I think I'm being paid the least tonight to be here. Just for the record.
Well, I don't know about that. Alderman Shellpepper.
Yeah, thanks to the Brisk for coming, your family, your supporters, as well as the Pine Terrace neighbors. Really appreciate the engagement that we've gotten. I've been on city council for about 5 years now, and this is probably close up there in terms of the engagement we've gotten from the community. So it's always appreciated just for everyone taking time out of their busy lives to engage in local government. I had a question just in terms of how many patrons you guys are having every year annually right now. Do you have any idea of what that number is annually, what you're seeing for patrons?
We could run a report on
Okay.
reservations.
My bad, because I should have been prepared. But I do submit every month how many patrons we have to the city. So I just don't.
We have those numbers.
We could probably tabulate that and get that to you.
Okay, do you have a business plan, I mean, just cooked up for what you would anticipate this adding to the number of patrons that you're going to experience annually?
The honest truth for me is, I think it's wonderful that everybody thinks we're going to be so busy there, but just driving here tonight, there's nobody in any of the bars or restaurants. And I fully anticipate that Montbijou will be the exact same, only worse, especially in winter. There's really not a whole lot bringing people to Oconomowoc this time of year to stay at Montbijou. The lounge itself is going to have 10 seats. That is it, just 10 seats. Our goal is, when this first started, was neighbors. I shouldn't say I don't want, because I'll take whoever, but I wasn't anticipating people from outside our community coming and patronizing. I just thought the neighbors, anniversaries, birthdays. I will tell you, this summer when we were busy, a lot of the people that stayed with us were from Oconomowoc originally. They were here visiting family, and this is a true story. I had a family, they wanted to come in. They had bottles of wine, and because they were not guests, but their mother and sister were guests, they went outside to enjoy the bottles of wine that they brought because I would not allow them in. A lot of our guests, like I said, are originally from Oconomowoc or visiting someone in Oconomowoc, and that is one of the reasons why we thought, wouldn't it be nice to be able to have these people come in and have a cocktail with our guests, their family members. That's who our guests are. We do get, obviously, guests that are not from Oconomowoc, but we do get a big part of our business are people who were born here, raised here, and visiting family here in Oconomowoc.
Alderman Rozak.
I don't have any more questions. You guys want to sit down? You've been on the hot seat for a while. You're welcome, unless
Thank
somebody
you.
else has questions.
And if any alderman would like further questions, if it comes to mind, we can always bring folks back up.
I just have a few comments and notes I wrote down during the public hearing and also prior to today. I do want to echo what Karen said about the ability to access this unique jewel in the city. I think when I evaluated this, like I evaluate a lot of these decisions, there's kind of a lesser goods and greater goods for the public. When we vote on things like, in my district, Thackeray Trail or the ballpark, there's kind of a greater good, very large amounts of folks are going to use those areas. This is kind of a lesser good, but I still think it's a good for the city, a chance for us to, experience this. As far as the private deed restriction, my only comment is the CUP is completely legal to grant. There's actually no prohibition in the deed restriction for what they want to do. So I don't think this is a legal issue we have to worry about. I also will say, quite frankly, I don't appreciate being threatened legally for a vote, and literally in the 11th hour before a vote. So we have an attorney that shows up and basically tells us there's going to be legal issues, and there's going to be legal issues between residents and those folks. That's very distasteful to me, and if there was issues like that, it should have been addressed some time ago. A couple other things. This is quasi-judicial, so we do have to make some, at least general findings during the motion that they've complied with the conditional use permit process, and that we find them, if we vote in favor, that it's appropriate. The other thing I was going to just kind of mention generally, this is the right process. I mean, what we're doing here is exactly what should be done. The full commercial change would be a significant change and could mean in the future more condos, more apartment buildings, other things going in that maybe other folks in the community wouldn't like. I also want to say, I think in the history of this, there used to be a restaurant, there used to be a clubhouse, there was a pool that the folks there got access to. I mean, there's a lot of history here. In creating a unique, charming attraction to the community is something that I think we sometimes miss out on in the Midwest because we're not as maybe out as much when it's cold. But this is a unique, charming thing. I mentioned to one of the folks, and they spoke tonight. One community I visited during my travels was Bend, Oregon. And in Bend, Oregon, it's a huge craft brewery area. and they actually allow people to brew beer in their garages and then allow up to like, I think it's like 8 or 10 people to visit like once or twice a week to just do tastings in their garage. That's really cool and charming. That city is a magnet for people to visit. And so I think this is our chance to create something unique and charming. Finally, I don't believe that we're really changing the use really drastically at all. They already have wedding parties, they have folks there eating dinner as part of weddings or bridal showers or corporate gatherings. This is really not changing the use at all. And I do think we should keep the hours of operations the way they are. The Brisks have said they'll come back and talk to us in a year, and I think at that point we can address the hours issues or our concerns with that. So those are my comments in general. I appreciate everyone coming out and voicing their concerns. I've read all the emails and have talked to some of you.
Any other comments or questions from the council before we entertain a motion? Jason?
So in front of your stations, you have a draft conditional use permit that the Plan Commission recommended. The hours of operation, number 4, is on that as drafted. There was also discussion tonight by Alderman Spiegelberg to amend number 18, the review, the Plan Commission, and then what would be added is "and Common Council reserves the right to review." I'll bring it up on the screen so the audience can see. The review number, it's 18 on my copy because we added number 4, the hours, but it says the Plan Commission and Common Council reserves the right to review the operation and amend the CUP as it deems appropriate. And then I would add, applicant shall come back in 1 year to provide an update to the city, Common Council.
Sounds good. So I want to make just a few comments. I want my hats off to all of you that are here. You have pretty much a split, a roughly 50-50 split, and you've all been professional, you've all been kind, you have different views, and my hat's off to all of you. You know, in our political system, that doesn't happen very much anymore. And whatever direction this vote goes, we have 8 councilmen. I vote only if it's a tie. So that's why I sit here and I don't talk and vote. I'm fully prepared to vote if it comes to that. And I just wanted to say my compliments to all of you. Because at the end of the day, I think we all want the same thing in our community. The question is to what degree and to where it goes. And when this first came to the Plan Commission, the whole Plan Commission was against the zoning. Because just think about it, what happened if the place burned down? And then you could put a gas station on there, you could put, you know, a dollar store, something like that. Well, we did not want it, we wanted to make sure that. And so my hat's also to the Plan Commission who worked hard. Jennifer, thank you, she's one of our Plan Commissioners. Because we try to come up with something that not only affects this, but could affect other requests like this in the future. So I'm not sure where this vote was going to go. But again, I think the process was right. And I applaud everybody for coming out and sharing your opinion. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved, Altman Cloth.
I'd like to make an amendment, if that's at all possible, before we go there. See if
We
that-
have a motion, and we'll go through the motion, unless you want to ask the councilman that made the motion to amend her motion.
Well, I do need to amend it to include Alderman Spiegelberg's Section 18 to include council in on it.
Okay.
What was yours?
In reference to the hours of operation?
That, I mean, I'm fine with the hours.
Okay. So a motion has been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
Jason, I think it was number 16, I'm not certain, I can't find it now, where it talked about any minor changes did not have to come back in front of council or the planning zoning, that you could make those changes without any input from council. I'd like to see that changed so that I'd like to see that changed so that council can review for anything for that matter.
So we have a motion, we have a second, And we have some comments. If you'd like to make that amendment after the motion and after the vote, you're welcome to do so. Alderman Shellpepper.
Yeah, I just make a few comments just to at least get on the record before we vote here. So like some of the others had stated, I would have been against the zoning. I think that would have been too extreme. I appreciate us, or the city, taking a different tact with this. I want to protect and promote historical properties in our community and give them the chance to succeed and thrive. I generally haven't, I mean, I think there's been some great improvements with the downtown and the economic development that's happened there, but I have always been a fan of Eagles Landing or the park at Lac La Belle, and I feel like that could be in the cards if we don't continue to promote and support some of these historical properties that we have in the community, and the Brisks seem to be invested in the community and want to do that as well. And this conditional use permit seems to be a tool to use to kind of meet halfway, to not give it a blank slate, but to maintain some level of control, to bring it back in a year. I don't want to hurt the property owners in the area. That's not my goal at all. It seems like the conditional use permit doesn't change the use very drastically. It seems like a lot of this use is already occurring, and the complaints that have been raised, it seems like the owners have tried to address those concerns. And I think we will be able to hold them to account to make sure those concerns are addressed as well, according to the conditional use permit. So I'm going to vote in favor of it. I wanted to get on the record of why I'd be doing that. I appreciate the engagement from the neighborhood again.
Thank you, Alderman Spiegelberg.
And as I've explained somewhat to my constituents, but I'd like you to know also, when this issue first came up and it looked like it was going to be a zoning change to commercial, and all this misinformation, this perception that this was going to be a bar that was going to be open till 2 in the morning, I was a hard no. Until the process went on, and the process went on, and we were able to see both sides of the issue, and we were able to see the process of the conditional use permit where we do have this control. And everything that the Brisks put forward is now why I will be voting in favor of this. But again, also, I want to tell you guys, thank you for engaging. These are hard issues for us as aldermen, they really are. But we appreciate both sides of the issue, and thank you so much for engaging and coming out.
Alderman Douglas.
Yeah, I mean, they came forward to us a little over a year ago, asking for, an alcohol license. And we look at standards and what those standards are and what the best uses are. At that time, we looked at it and was like, is this really the best use for what they were doing? At that time, they did kind of, from my recollection, say they had a plan to go forward for a better use of it. And that was part of the thing that we considered when giving them that alcohol license, rather than providing it to just 12 people that are staying there. So, I mean, in that respect, we kind of knew it was coming at some point, and looking at the alcohol license and the approval for that, I agree with, moving forward with it.
Alderman Rozak.
Yeah, 2 other really quick comments, just for the folks that were opposed. The last big CUP, discussion we have, I think, was the ballpark. And that CUP process has worked out very, very well. They've come back to the council for things like additional fireworks, additional concerts, and we've been able to control through that conditional use process how they use that facility. Now, the ballpark affects my community where I live. They have concerts, they have a lot of light pollution, but through that CUP process, we were able to limit that effect on my community. And the effect can be pretty significant. I mean, now they have 2 fireworks shows. Some people suggested more fireworks shows that go off at 10, 10:30 at night. That's a significant use, very drastic. We can hear some of the announcements out there. But otherwise, that CUP process has allowed us to address some of those concerns and alleviate those concerns when they've arisen, and they come back and ask for permission to do additional events. With that being said, I believe, based on what I've heard tonight, the applicant is satisfied or showed that they will comply with the terms of the conditional use as presented, and I will be voting in favor of it.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further comments before we call roll? Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Nay.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Nay.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis, do you want to make a motion to, for an amendment to this or not?
It's too late.
Oh, it's too late. I'm sorry.
Too late.
Got confused. We'll move on to our next agenda item. Thank you all for coming. You're welcome to stay longer if you'd like. And thank you for sharing your viewpoints. Next up are a number of items with regard to annexation requests. Jason, do you want to do a summary of all of these items, and then we will bring these forth to the council for vote?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to do a summary of all of the annexation requests that are on the agenda.
Can we just wait a minute, Mayor? Let's just, can we just wait for them to wait?
Okay, Jason, go ahead.
So I'm going to run through what the request is and kind of show you a visual map of where these properties are located. If you recall, about a month ago, we did what was called the initial petition for the annexation. So the people applied, and you guys said yes, and then it went to the Plan Commission for the annexation ordinance, and they've gave recommendations on all of these items to move forward. This is the annexation ordinances that would bring these lands into the city with a temporary zoning. So the first one is Cedar Home Farms. It consists of 2 parcels. It's on County Trunk Highway K, and it's right next to the bypass. It's 50.67 acres, and they would, we suggested the temporary zoning of UR. Now, this one we've had in mind to be part of the city. I circled it in red there. We've planned it out when we were designing the lift station that is in the park, right where this red dot is. We anticipated what would be the best land use of this property, and we actually planned it out for them. They want to continue to farm at this point, so we're recommending keeping it UR zoning. The next one is called the Driscoll Cron. It's 2 properties. It is on Highway P. It's 2.2 acres, and it is temporary GC zoning. The reason is you can see down here, there it is. The red circle is in a future commercial area. I talked to the owner, and he said, yeah, just go ahead and make it commercial. He currently has some residents in these homes here, but let's just make it commercial, then he doesn't have to come back in the future. The next one is Woods View Preserve. It's next to Towner Crest on Lisbon Road. It's 98.2 acres. A lot of it is a wetland, environmentally sensitive areas, 98 acres. They would like to keep it UR zoning. Here's the wetlands you can see in green, but they would like to continue to farm it, hunt on it, keep it urban reserve until a future date, sometime when they would be making it into residential. Hallett is 2 parcels on County Trunk Highway P, Brown Street. They recently came before you with a certified survey map. We would make this a temporary zoning of general commercial, 1 acre. It's directly across the street from the city. It's shown on those 2, this property here as well as this property here. So there's 2 properties right across the street. Temporary zoning would be GC, general commercial, 1 acre for the 2 of them. We have Slife property on Lisbon Road. We're actually recommending, that's an error, TR, would be the temporary zoning. That would be on the zoning when it comes back for zoning, we're recommending TR. It's 0.18 acres in size, directly across from the city of Oconomowoc boundary. It's right here, and it's up there. Krenz is a little bit larger parcel, 0.48 acres. It is on Lisbon Road. It would be SR zoning. It's right here. We have the right-of-way you can see connects to the city of Oconomowoc, as well as directly across the street is coming in, so it'll be contiguous to the city. And then we have the Miller, keep this urban reserve on North Lake Road. It's 116 acres, very limited wetlands, just way in the back corner here. Most of it is upland area. This is the city of Oconomowoc right here. This is all contiguous to the city. Here it says city of Oconomowoc. We'd keep this urban reserve. Someday it would be residential land use. We have, this one is the Danon Sampson site on Lisbon Road. We'd keep it, or recommend TR, traditional residential, for temporary zoning. It's 0.5 acres is the entire area. It consists of those two tax key numbers right there. The city is across the street. And then we have the Hero, also known as the BSMP parcels on County Trunk Highway P. It's 4.74 acres, and it's directly across the street from the city of Oconomowoc. It's all this yellow area here. We would recommend GC, General Commercial, as the temporary zoning when it was brought in.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Gallo? What I'll do is read through each one at a time, and we'll need to make an individual vote on each one of these items. So we have several items to go through. Consider act on ordinance 25-01075, annexing the territory to the city of Oconomowoc, Cedar Home Farms lands located at County Trunk K, OCOT 0519.998.001 and OCOT 0538.998.001. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
As a point of order, Mayor, can we just make a motion on the item number, or do we have to read these things in full?
You can just say next, next, next.
I can.
Ooh,
I think we
geez,
should
that
do
would be
that.
wonderful.
nice, nice, nice.
I'm ready
Should've
for
told
it.
us that.
Do I look like Bill Chapman? Gotta
Okay.
read the whole ordinance, come on.
Does she have to
I
call
just did-
roll, or can we also say all in favor?
Well, I think you have to call roll on
We
each
have to
one of
call
these.
roll on
Okay, that's
these.
fine.
I would prefer that.
Aye.
Also, for those in the audience, we're going to go next. I'll put the number in the, and read the number, but I'll just do next, and we'll do a motion and call roll. If you have any questions, please let us know after the meeting. Next, item 9E. Like
So
to-
moved.
Second?
Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder. Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Next, item 9F, Driscoll and Cron.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second?
Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Next, that's going to become my favorite word. Item 9A, Woodview Preserve LLC. So moved.
A, wait a minute, 9A? What did you
9G.
say? Yeah,
9G.
second. Oh,
Should have just read it. Entertain a motion. Call roll, please.
Sorry, I didn't get them over in the second.
I did it.
Okay, Mulder, and second was Spiegelberg?
You can have it, Karen.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Say aye, please.
Aye.
Okay. Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg. Alderman Mulder. Alderman Shellpepper. Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Next item, 9H, the Hallett Lands. I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Call roll.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder. Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Pay attention, Douglas.
Pay attention, just go.
Wow,
on.
guys.
Slow it down.
Slow it down a
Next is item 9I, Justin and Audrey's life.
So moved, Altman Cloth.
Second Mulder.
Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Nay.
Alderman.
Did he pay me a martini if I said nay? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah,
Alderman
these
Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
We're getting punchy.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
On to item 9J, which is a Krentz land.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Item next is 9K, the Robert Miller property.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Sorry. These are way too fast. Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Next, item 9L, Dannon and Sampson lands.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Next, item 9M, the BSMP LLC lands.
So moved.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Alderman Maroney.
Aye.
Alderman Douglas.
Aye.
Alderman Rosick.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
And for the record, these are property owners on their own rights, have exercised their property rights as former residents of the town of Oconomowoc to be annexed and have made that petition to the city on their own behalf. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you for staying so long for that, for those of you that are here in your land.
And welcome to the city.
And welcome to the city. Okay, we'll move on. Do we have any staff reports tonight?
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate our city clerk for making it through her first election here.
Yeah, yeah.
This was not an election.
This was pretty easy.
It was a warm-up, but it's still an election.
Hey, I put it,
the votes.
I got my sticker.
Thank you.
All right. Any reports or comments from aldermen? Oh, I'm sorry, Lori. Oh, I didn't know.
Handing out budget schedules.
Oh, thank you.
What's that?
Budget schedules.
From the one you gave me?
No, but nobody else has it, so I had to hand them out.
Oh.
Douglas
Okay.
doesn't need this anymore.
What's that?
Don't need it no more.
Well, look at all the days
Have
that
you?
you won't have to be here. So the dates are on here. Please, I will send you calendar invites, save the date invites tomorrow. So expect to see those coming, and we get started with budget priorities, first meeting in May. Thank you.
You're welcome to come to the workshops. We'd
I'll
love to
miss
have
it
you.
so much, I'll probably show up to everyone.
Any reports or comments from aldermen tonight? Alderman Altman Cloth.
So I apologize because I know this has been a late meeting, but I just want to thank our American Legion at Jones Post 91. Last night, they invited my family, which unfortunately my husband could not make it, but it was my father-in-law, myself, and our son. He recently enlisted in the Marine Corps, and they presented us with a Blue Star flag, and just the whole procedure that they did was absolutely incredible. And I have said this so many times, we have such a veteran-rich community, and we are so fortunate for it. So just wanted to say thank you to the Legion, and I didn't realize that the signature on it was going to be our very own Uncle Dale Sager, so that just made it a little sweeter.
Well, and congratulations to you and your family, and thank you and your family for all of these efforts. So, well done. Any other comments from Alderman this evening? With no comments from the mayor, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.